In the life of a boxer, this is what I do every day. So we're gonna be going into my life a little bit, in training camp.
All right.
Is that this guy's actually working with Anthony Joshua, and he was.
So what we're doing is right here is about to get into the 3 key factors in developing the body. And this is what you should know before you even start working with athletes if they are competitive. And it wouldn't be a bad idea if you knew how to do this, even if your athletes or human beings that you're working with are not competitive, because the body is a very, very precious temple. And the more you know about it, the better off you can operate as a trainer. And if you're an athlete competing, the more you know about it, the more you'll understand how to listen to your body. So this is exactly what we're going to get into. We're going to discuss the 3 factors and the actual categories of training the human body before you even start on day 1. These things should be intact. So that's what we're going to get into today. So hopefully you guys are ready to get it in. But before we get started, I like to introduce myself to those of you who've never watched this channel. Shame on you. Boy, you're late to the dance. My name is Eric A. Bradley, coach that is, and we teach boxing. But what we're going to do today is really get really in depth with giving you the premise of starting. Like you get to feel what it feels like on day 1 when you're going in there fully equipped for battle. So I'm truly looking forward to sharing this information that I've learned over the past 4 decades, really 5, because I really got really vested into the art and science of the human body at a very young age. So hopefully you got your pen and pad. This will help you immensely. And we're going to dive right in. Soon as I give a thank you to our sponsors, they keep the lights on, they keep the cameras running, they keep the mics sharp. And for that, we have to give special thanks to Jab Juice Consultants, social media strategists that are all about helping you build your personal brands so that your company can expand and go in the direction that you always wanted to. You want it to feel special. Well, get the microphones and get the amplifiers behind your name so that you can get the word out about how amazing that service or product that you have is. And it's all about first building the infrastructure of who you are as a person first, and then letting everybody just fall in love with that character that you portray. And that's the blueprint of your brand. And that's Jab Juice Consultants, jabjuice.com. Holler at your man. All right, here we go. Back to the topic at hand. As we get into the conversations, what we're going to do is talk about the first of all, the 3 factors. And an organization is very important. And I like to make it very clear. We're going to get into a couple of questions that some people have had a little bit later on in the show. So this is just not a fly-by-night show. I mean, we are really crafted it so that you can benefit greatly from it. So as I amplify things up, I'm going to first pull up the 3 factors so you're clear. First of all, here are the 3 areas in the fields of study that you really need to understand come into play before you even open up those gym doors and say, I want to start receiving people. You want to have these individuals in place. And the reason why that is because when you get a person in front of you, you don't want to do a lot of guessing. You don't want to actually use them as your guinea pig. So how do you prevent from having to do that? You have people with the field of study. First, you want someone who's very versed in anatomy. And I'll define what each one means after I kind of walk through this with you. Anatomy is important for anyone who's working one-on-one with anybody on the planet. It doesn't matter. You have to know the pros and cons of knowing how to work with a person and not knowing, because there's just tremendous deficits that you can run into if you do not understand anatomy. All right. The next thing You want this person in your under your banner, under your roof to understand the science of kinesiology. Kinesiology is the next factor, right? And you want someone who's versed in it. Now, some kid just coming out of school, you want to give them an apprenticeship. Like I did an apprenticeship for like 15 years, only because it was highest level. And so once you get done there, then you need a dietitian. And the 3 reasons why is because those factors are: 1, the structure. That's anatomy. It's the structure of the human body. So to be able to identify someone's actual structure is super duper relevant when you are dealing with someone trying to take what they are and where they were to that next tier. All of the things have to be in line, because what happens if it's not, you'll take a deficit in another area. So when you think you're getting better because you're training one way, you're actually going down, and you have to add those points. It's like a credit score. So have the understanding of what this is all about. And then consumption is your dietitian. The dietitian obviously is the person that knows how to fuel this individual. And that individual must go through phases. And guess what? Our objective is to simplify this all so it's not confusing, that it just lands on your ear the right way. And here's just what it looks like when you're going through the first phases of this. Let's talk specifically about having your head in the right place. An athlete's mind, once you get them to a point where you're training on a regular basis, here's a little segment that I would love for you guys to take 1 second and listen to. It may last 60 seconds, so be patient. If you're about learning, then this is going to do you justice. But this is the great Michael Jordan on the essence of knowing how to operate in these trial scenarios. Sorry.
So literally yesterday, I watched Anthony Joshua.
Already forgotten. For here was another secret to the spell Michael had held over the rest of the league ever since his first championship. Even when the Bulls weren't superior physically, they had a philosophical edge.
I think Phil had a lot to do with that, with his Zen practice, his whole emotional approach to a game of basketball. I've experienced a lot of different coaches, but he gave me the understanding about life in a whole different frame. I think his teachings, or the understanding of Zen Buddhism, is how you view yourself to deal with the realities of life surrounding you, and somehow be able to correlate that to a simple game as basketball.
This is something that we talked about a lot as a basketball team, is about how to be in the moment, being able to visualize what might happen in those times. Michael so embraced this, and I think that was the beauty of his game, is that he had all these abilities to adjust, not force his own predetermined idea, but allow those things to come together for his game.
And
He had to allow all of those things to visualize. He visualized what he needed to come to fruition for his game. Now, you don't think that that has something to do with him overcoming the worst adversities, having the flu, overcoming a broken foot, or was it a knee in his second season? These little things mentally take you to a place, and an athlete, no matter how good of a physical condition that you've gotten them in, if they don't have the mind, then what they are going to run into is roadblocks. And most of the time that trainers don't understand when that's coming. And if you don't understand when it's coming, it's typically going to hit you right when it counts most, when you're fighting for something greater. And with that being the topic of discussion, we have to make sure that we do understand the actual progressive testing that these athletes have to go through before you place them in battle. And this is on any level. Every sport has this. There's sports psychiatrists and psychologists in every profession, even collegiately. And because it's so much more and pressure, especially in this time of the age of social media. In the age of social media, having the athletes exposed and having them in positions where they're always having putting a mic in front of themselves and they always have to say the right thing or else it's a powerful thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to skip directly from there and we're going to show you a little bit of what is it that goes directly into the actual consumption. How do you digest? Think about this. If you go into things thinking about it as if you're just taking a spin through the store, then guess what's going to happen? That's exactly what your product's going to come out like. But when you think through things and you really button every layer up, and then when you're ready and you have the psychological testing check as well, if that box is also checked, then you're in a much better place.
Tea. The purpose behind this is as he's getting his shadowboxing done, he can drink his tea while he's doing that. So what's happening is internally his body starts getting warmer and warmer, so it'll actually help him build or burn a little bit more calories. Three ingredients: avocado, good healthy fats. We're gonna add some lemon. We're gonna add some everything seasoned bagel, and we're just gonna blend it all in. Throw it on a piece of toast. We're gonna add some egg. We're gonna add some turkey ham, and we're gonna roast some tomatoes, give some good flavor.
Dogs don't eat first.
I'll eat it right now because it's gonna get cold.
Hey, remember, dogs don't eat first.
Cool down for a little bit.
It's good, man. I think he did turkey instead of ham. It's cool.
Out of respect for the other fighter, I know you probably don't want to talk about it, but sent a guy to the hospital the other day.
No, I'll talk about it. I broke a man's jaw with one punch with the headgear on. One side of his jaw was up, the other one was down. I haven't really been talking about it because, like, I'm just going to show it in the ring. I want you.
Boom. So what you put in your body has everything to do with the outcome and the product that you're going to take to the ring that night or whatever sport you're operating from. These are important things to note. You have to realize that dietitians play such a role. And in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to address one of the questions that our viewers have put into the circle, and I want to address anything and concerns that you guys have because you're responsible for another human being's life and well-being. So what we want to do is make sure that you have all of the data so you can make the best decisions, because what we are finding is, even visiting one of the most popular gyms in the United States of America yesterday, I found a lot of things, and I found that people are kind of in their own way, and it's more everybody has what they have. They have what they've learned. And a lot of people are more defiant in the area of physical training. So you can see that on the trainer. One of the most important things is where physically what you specialize in. So if you're a person that's all about active muscle, you're going to be fluid. You're going to look more like a dancer or a wide receiver or someone who does a lot of yoga. Active muscle in motion. We call it kinematics of human motion. And when I define kinesiology, it's about the movement. Understanding movement is extremely important. So if you have someone with a strong weightlifting background and they are working with an athlete that needs fluidity, a wide receiver, someone who's fluid, and a boxer, someone who needs agile muscle, then it's not the best pair to merge together. When a guy's bursting weight training, I'm gonna give you an example. Years ago, I lifted weights and I was very bulky. So therefore, if I'm an expert in that, I can't be an expert in another area because these careers are people with degrees, kinesiology, anatomy, dietitian. Like you can't pretend to be these people because they're field of study. That means they're not guessing on Instagram. They are learning this. They've been educated, they've been tested, exams, quarter after quarter, semester after semester for 4 years minimal. You have to respect their knowledge. They have more knowledge in one hand than you possess about that topic in your entire body. So you have to respect what roles they play. Hence is one of the main reasons we made sure that giving you guys the right knowledge about what it is, but we also gave you a place where that knowledge resides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play like a 2 minutes. So bear with us if you want to learn a little more. And this is a conversation that I just recently had. I'm not here to put any shade on any of the athletes and the trainers that are working hard. What we are here to do, so that you know our motive is to aid you and to make sure that you have all of the tools. Because once, like I said, when I took my trip into one of the most popular gyms in the world yesterday, what I was there doing is making sure that we had athletes, coaches, in the right place doing the right thing. And they were avid, literally elated from all of the positive knowledge that they received from our training system. So what I want to do now is share a little bit of what goes into this. This right here is kind of breaking down what we have in one of our universities. And it really gives you full insight. And think about this. How good would you be if you had everything equipped in your hand? How much better would you be right now if you had the opportunity to have this in possession? Listen.
Got
This,
coach. Yes.
this
That's
is
what-
what
Yes.
you got access to now.
Yeah, I got you, coach. That's why when I saw one of your videos, you said there's I don't remember specifically. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 different styles of defense.
5 layers.
Five layers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because it was just like your guard or the
You understand that you just don't stick your arms out.
yeah,
You get
you
your
get
head
that
knocked
overhead.
off. Yeah, and see, you don't know these things until you're working with these real world-class guys, and you're saying, okay, and toe touches, max liberty to learn, that there are things out here. And most coaches, they just think what they know is going to be enough. But this right here, this is
I got
our
you.
champion. This is top trainer. So this is all of your fundamentals. Then your training, injury prevention stuff, hand wrapping, max PT. You need to know max PT. It'll be your fighter's best friend. The abdominal training system, not just sit-ups and toe touches, real methods of training the human body, right? And then all the stuff, footwork fundamentals, punch logistics, slips, everything. That's top trainer. You want to become the world's best trainer? Never have to think about what you're going to do in training. That's a good place to start. And then you can coach much better when you ain't got to think about what you're going to do with the guy. You will be 10 times better immediately. And that is really when you have all of these layers are all in one place. How many times have you gotten up and you didn't have your plan for that day, but you're working with somebody that you really think a lot of? You know, inside of the gym, there were titleists, people who were champions currently, and there are people who are on the way to that. And all you could see is the trainers are working so hard to work with the person that they were with. And in the same time, how many of you, when you know that other person's coming, you're thinking about, what am I going to do with them today? But you got to think about this. What is that other person that you're working with thinking? And so with that being said, they know that something's not flowing. I do want you to know that, because we, of course, are the most visible out here. There are like 3 or 4 of us that are very visible, and people see it and they know where they have holes. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that we fill those holes. Those are the roles that you take, and you decide that you're going to help people or not, because most people wonder, why do you show people all of this stuff that you know? Because one day I won't be here, and guess what? It doesn't do me any good 6 feet under the ground, but it does work here in someone else's head and in someone else's hand. And that means there will be another athlete that does not have to suffer because the individuals were ill prepared. Now, when you see this all buttoned up, it looks like that. All of these, your nutrition is in the right place, right there in front of you. So you can make suggestions to your athlete. You don't have to be their dietitian, but now you got a point of reference. And this was created in the University of North Carolina. One of their dietitians, one of the top of the class, aided in the production of this meal plan, this system, education. All right. Everybody who knows me knows my medical background. So, you know, anatomy and kinesiology, studied the science of the kinematics of human motion. I have a bevy of studies under my belt, and I understood how important it would be. And not only that, you get the opportunity to now see what it looks like when you got a seriously diversified process in place. Now, how much better would you be if you were all the way buttoned up? Have you thought about that? I mean, I don't know who you are, but I do know this. If you're listening now, you're listening because there's an area that you want to fix. And knowing this information right here, you have to look at it, right? And then I'm going to show you another little something that you'll need to understand about movement, because movement isn't all about physical developing muscles and stuff like that, but it is about development of the way that the body operates. You get what I'm saying? So when you are talking about physical development, there are different ways that looks. And so what I'm going to show you is, how do you go about doing this? Because kinematics of human motion is something that you need. And we made sure that that kind of stuff was directly in front of you. So listen to this. And this clip will take about maybe 2.5 minutes. It's so well worth it because it's so informative, especially if you're in a contact sport, because this is the nooks and crannies of it all. So listen to this.
I saw him on his back performing this stretch. So it's one thing doing it with the welterweight world champion, but doing it with the heavyweight as well. Incredible. This is basically trying to improve that thoracic extension of the spine, which a lot of boxers struggle with because they're quite rounded in their posture just due to their boxing stance and guard position, but also due to the anterior dominance of the sport. They're throwing thousands of punches every single session, maybe even 10,000 punches across a week. They're quite tight in thoracic extension, they're quite kyphotic, and this can result in shoulder injuries. This is why shoulders and upper limb injuries are the most problematic areas for boxing. So this stretch here, fantastic for any boxer. However, it's quite hard to do this yourself or to find somebody willing and able to stretch you out like this. So there's a few different drills that you can do to help improve thoracic extension, such as quadruped press, quadruped extensions, thoracic extensions on the foam roller. Probably start off with these first before seeking out a therapist. This is a fantastic move and showing really impressive strength for overheads.
These are the little things that most of the time you don't really see, but in high level boxing, you'll see these kind of things. And that's why you have to understand how to recruit people for your facility. Now, it's okay, because I know that a lot of you now realize, I haven't thought about bringing one of these kind of people in. But if you're going to work with high level boxers or athletes on any competitive level, what you want to do, and even if you're someone that's training at home, you take these exact same principles and you stick those in. So what we decided to do, what made the most sense was, I can't give individuals my actual internal knowledge, but what I can do is I can regurgitate this knowledge and put it directly in front of them like this, whole brain, put it in front of you like this, so that you can really take it in and not have to know it. You don't have to master it now. You just need to see it, so you'll know what to do. And if it's someone from an additional field comes in, you say, hey, this is a process that we're following. This is Top Trainer U. This is inside of the School of Boxing, and knowing how your athlete should eat, having the actual guideline to what that athlete should eat, and all of the data behind it. Someone's already done that for you. That book and that system is almost 20 years old. It's almost 20 years old. And the science is timeless. We've never had to alter it, and we've never had someone say, oh, it didn't work. It's the process of the human body. See, we don't infuse our own purpose. I don't want to make it. I got to make it mine. No. How does the human body work? All right, let's stay there. To the upper echelon of boxing on any level, you must learn all 4 phases. Now, if you're stuck in any one of these 4 phases, type school and be seen as the champion you are. Not trying to make someone do something that we want you to do, but what does the human body need? And you can argue anything else outside of that, but there's a reason why it's almost 2 decades old. I'd say 15 years, and it's not had to be altered. Not once. So once you know how to do that, guess what else comes into play? Down that physical part of it, where you now know what to do. You should be able to identify. You should be able to identify when a person walks in, because this is one of the things that I do well when it comes down to their anatomy. If you're going to compete against somebody, and I can look at those individuals and tell you, are you sure you want to go up against that person? Because they look a certain way, but you're not paying attention, clavicular area or the lower spine. Because these are where the hidden powers are, not in the skinny arms or the skinny torso. If you go back to Diego Corrales, skinny, slanky, and knocking guys out, you got to understand what you're looking at. Understand the wrists, understand the elbows, understand the shoulder girdle. If you don't understand these things, you need experts. That means people who are versed in anatomy. Remember that at the very beginning, the 3 factors that come into play right there: anatomy, kinesiology, and dietitian. These are the people that roll and reign supreme. So with that being said, you close this out, and knowing just how to eat, how to get the mind in the right place, how to get the body, identify the body first. Keep this in mind. You have to know and understand the kind of ungoloid that you're up against based on how they look. Like I'm someone who has extremely long arms, shorter in the torso, explosive, powerful legs, and heavy hands. So you can look and say, oh, it's lean guy, looks like a cornerback or, welterweight or junior middle. But when you get in there, if it's different, it's like, oh, you like a light heavyweight. So you got to understand what dynamics you're dealing with when you're dealing with a person, especially for those who are in particular weight classes and they, like Manny Pacquiao, always have been underestimated based on his stature. Tank Davis. Why do you think there are guys who are 5'5" that can knock your block off and you could drink a cup of coffee off of the top of their heads while you're standing up? It has nothing to do with what their anatomy gives them to do to you. So you have to be careful about this. But what will happen if you are able to have order in your life and you're actually following it? Experts in each one of the fields. So I just want you all to pay close attention to how much better you will be. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's take one of the questions. Because if you do have questions, make sure you leave them in the comment boxes and we'll catch it on the next show. Because the reality is, I do want you all to have a takeaway like, dang, this was really helpful to me to figure out how I need my operation to run. And that's my job, is to make you feel like you're learning something that will benefit you greatly and that you will never need to. That's one of the things that's so unique about the process and the system. We never have to change it. We have an entire dictionary over here to add anything to whatever might need to be added. But we never have to move off of this. Every day the training system is timeless and it solves all problems. See, a program achieves a goal, but a system is the solution to all problems that you will face. That's why Apple is $1 trillion company. Amazon's $1 trillion company, because they can solve all your problems. They fix their products. Do it all. They do it all. Health, emergency, social, everything. Like they don't have a one-trick pony, like the dial-up phones. These are real phones. These are real actual computers. These are AI at its finest. So this is kind of what a system is. It serves the entire purpose. And guess what else it does? It simplifies your life 1000%. So all of the anxiety and the stress of figuring it out, you can work with 10 world-class athletes back to back and not bat an eye because you don't have to think about what you need to do. How good would you be if that was you? That's the main reason you see us out here saying type school, because the reality is you got to, if you want to be at the higher levels of training, teaching, developing human beings, building a reputation that is insurmountable, uncomputable. No one is going to doubt what you're capable of doing. So let me pop this question up. Is this the question? How close to fight weight should a fighter stay on on a day-to-day basis? Great question. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull this up. Okay. This is Anatomy 101. When the body is doing all of the things that are required to do, when the body is doing all the things that's required to do, I got another question that I will take. So what's my friend's name? Brandon. I got you covered, Brandon. I'm going to get yours too. So what you want to remember is all of that quality mindset work that you've done. That is something that's not refutable. It's there. But if you come up and shoot someone in the leg with a BB gun or a water gun, one of those ones that have the amps to it and it stings like crazy, for a moment it throws you off. And that's exactly what happens when you train the body, strain it down in weight too much. So that line for me is 8 pounds. If you fought in May and I see you in July and you're 13, 14 pounds overweight, we have a problem, because you have to think about your avatar. The most dangerous man, look at the most dangerous man that ever exists. Bruce Lee, 5'7", 147. You get what I'm saying? Like, the most dangerous person is the person who's closest to his avatar, not an ounce of body fat, and wasn't a weight training phenom. Just, it's all about getting to the spot first. That's what a competition is all about. Who can get to the spot first? Bop, bop, bop. Remember that. And if you're thinking like along those terms, what's going to come of this is you're going to really appreciate being lighter and fighting at a weight class that you may actually be at, instead of when you start bulking up. If you take a look at Devin Haney's legs, he's just at 140 now. That means at 147, his legs are going to get bigger. At some point in time, linear movements, which are straight up and down, the only thing that comes from that is meniscus tears, anticruciate ligament tears, posterior ligament tears, tendon ruptions, Achilles injuries, all of that. That's what comes with that's the outcome. Now, you might like it, it may feel good, but my suggestion is to do more of the running in the sand, wet sand. It's not wrong what he's doing, because his trainer is going through and making everything that he does, it's so fluid. So I love that. We just want to alter the instruments and minimize the linear movements, because the body is not meant to operate that way or that way. Okay? Anytime you do too much of this and too much of that, what happens is the axis point's disrupted. And when the axis point is disrupted, that becomes the problem. Boom, 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 snap, and then bone on bone. And you find people in their late 40s, early 50s dealing with that, because they used to work out, but now they're dealing with arthritis and bursitis and calcium deposits, because there are people who don't like to wrap their hands, and they get in calcium deposits because they don't know when they're young that this is not good, because they don't have a degree in physiology. They don't understand human biology. And so that's the reason why it's in our schools. So you don't have to have a degree. You just have to follow exactly what we've typed up. And for 12 years, this particular program has been in existence. And for almost 2 decades, the nutrition, and it finally was able to buddy. So now you understand how to even run. If you go into our stories today, you'll see a Q&A inside of there, a poll that's asking basically, is it good to run fast or slow? I'll give you that answer after I ask these questions. All right. So we got a question from Brandon. And I know a lot of you guys are wondering, that was a great question, but when you look at
guys like, and I know guys like Terrence Crawford and and Boost Ennis are switch hitters, and even Francis Ngannou is a switch hitter. You know, not to be tongue in cheek, but the reality is when you're boxing, man, if you know how, when, and why to throw the jab, you won't need to switch hit. Muhammad Ali stayed conventional the whole time. They knew he was going to throw it. They just didn't know why, and they didn't know when, and they didn't know how, because he had change-up speeds. Pop, 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 pop. You know, it's all about understanding the how, when, why. Hence is why I always try to encourage people. No particular reason. Do what you like. But I've been doing this for 4 decades, and I do understand the pros and cons of trying to add all of this stuff when you don't know how to do the basics. Fundamentally sound. You can do an exercise, but if you haven't been graded until every time you do it, that person who's watching you says, perfect, 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 and then put you through different tests in that same drill, but put the fire on you, turn the heat up a little bit. See, if you can do it under the heat, that means it's actually really there. And then you turn the furnace up. And so what I would tell you is only 7% of guys who are boxing are staying within a system. That's too many that's not. So that means 93% of the people who are boxing, not having a lot of success, they want to change because they don't understand boxing when it counts. So from a comprehensive method, my suggestion is to enroll, and yes, I'm selling it, into the school, so this will never be a question to you again. Because just imagine if you had all the answers in front of you. Type school and not have to ask another freaking question again. That's what comes of doing it the right way. That was my honest answer. I couldn't think of what else could you go do. Watch more YouTube, or maybe Instagram, or pop over to Metaverse. Maybe you can learn it there, but no way you're going to learn and understand how many different ways to use the jab after you perfect the craft. That's the most important thing, because if you do that, you'll Larry Holmes them. Boom, Larry Holmes was 48-0 until he lost his first controversial fight with a jab. You feel what I'm saying? So if you really take it to heart and think about it, you don't have to do all of that stuff. Francis Ngannou decided to switch hit and got punched under the rope. Now you tell me, do you just want to throw a lucky rabbit out of the hat and you think maybe you'll have the luck of Bud Crawford? Bud Crawford is a different animal. He's a different species. You can't teach that. He couldn't teach that. You can teach the skills, and we have all of those skills, you know, knowing how to catch and parry, knowing how to posture up, knowing how to get in this Philly stance, 7 points, 12 stages, you know what I'm saying? 8 phases, 5 layers of defense, all of these different things. We got all of that. That's what's in our school. But the reality is this: you'll never know, because you're kind of doing this over the edge learning boxing thing, and that's never going to get you to where you need to go. It's just like someone trying to come in and be someone in the field of biology and someone who's in the field of kinesiology. You're not an expert in kinesiology, but guess what you're doing? You're taking on an athlete who needs someone who specializes in kinesiology, which is movement. But you're going to go to YouTube and steal a few ideas, but you're never going to have the how, when, and why, and no science behind it. So that's what you're getting when you go right there into this place right here, where you decide to type everything school and level your game up and stop having to ask questions, because you're going to face these guys. You know, special shouts out to all of the new members who've registered over the weekend. I mean, we had a vast influx of people who want to know and learn. So learn, or do you realize how good you'll be? And it scares you if you have all of that smoke, all of that knowledge, and you've simplified it for yourself. Is that why you're scared to register? Yeah, you'll be too damn good. Nobody will be able to F with you. You will be the standout. And that's what's happening to all of the coaches. They'll co-sign because my people watch this. They're the best in any you can obviously tell because it's the way you operate, the confidence. You don't have those monkeys screaming in your head when you have my system in front of you. It's our system now, because I say take it and then tweak and make it yours, but use the frame. You don't really have to do anything, but just plug and play. You never boxing. First, you have to cut out the noise. And the reason why I say this is because I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you're doing too many things trying to learn. We have this term, it's called shiny object syndrome. Everything you see, you want, and that is what takes you off of focus. Am I right or am I wrong? How many videos can you look at? Because you got to keep it simple. Your mind has to process what you see. So you have to focus on one thing. That means knowing how to shut off the noise once you start focusing. My process is taking everything off a bite at a time and growing over the course of time. So first, start off with your footwork and make sure that you have it down. Don't jump line. The second thing is your defensive prowess. Master it so that you're comfortable in any situation. And third, know how to use the ring. Ring generalship is a must. When you put these things together, all of these things come to fruition. Everything that you saw yourself becoming. So cut out the noise. Stop with the scrolling, because scrolling is only going to take you off of course. One tip at a time and grow over the course of time. My name is Coach Eric A. Bradley. And one thing I want to know is, what is it that you want out of the sport of boxing? Comment that down below and I'll see you in the winner's circle. Continue to follow for more Boxing Insight. Peace. How good would you be? Like you. Like, how good would you be if you had the keys to the kingdom? Truly. I mean, all jokes aside, if you actually had the keys into that paradise of knowledge that simplifies everything for you, and you don't have to create planning and ask questions again, how good would you be? That's right. You'd be too damn good. And you know that. And that's okay. Do it anyway. Success leaves clues. Let me see. Who the best boxer now to you and your best of all times? Ooh, that's a good one. The best boxer right now is the current pound for pound, and every single fighter that is fighting every day and training every day, the people who are doing mindset training, the people who are doing the right physical training, the people who are understanding how to have the right people around them. Because see, that's what's going to be the test of time. The gym that I went to yesterday had a lot of different bells and whistles, and a boxing gym, for the most part, needs a lot of quiet. Because see, the mind operates on an algorithm, and the more noise that's going into your head outside of the bags, the more the level of concentration or receiving information, the more difficult it is. But you get used to it. You get muscle memory to come in there, turn the music on loud and box loud. But when a fighter is operating that way, I've seen it over decades, that fighter, when he's in the ring, is a dog in that ring. I've seen it. And I've seen the guy who needs to throw on Jadakiss when he boxing. You know what I'm saying? I know that dude that need to put on Nas. You know, I know the guy who needs to pop that Tupac when he boxing. But when he get to that boxing ring and high level boxing, you find those distractions in the later rounds, and that's because he's not locked in. And that neuro, it's real. You have to You have to train every element of your mind. And so that's why that meditative stuff is so important. So get someone who can really educate you, and then think about exactly how to get these other people that will be around you handling the suggestive. And if you don't, then type school and go right there and get 134 years of knowledge put directly into a school for you, so that you don't have to do that. Because guess what? You will be that damn good. That's what happens. You instantly are 35% better, 50% better. And people notice because you look different. Your confidence is different because you already know what you're going to do. And it's dope looking, and you can just drill it into that person. You don't have to think about anything anymore. Did you answer yourself? I want you to do this. I want you to really look into a mirror, even if it's your phone. Turn the camera part on and turn the mirror around, the reflection around, so that it's like this. All right, see, that's my reflection, the WBC. And say, how good can I get? Because this will make me that. Am I ready for that smoke? Okay. And so that's my picture. What does yours look like? Ask yourself, how good would you be if you had exactly what the top tier fighters in the world, if you had exactly the recipe they have, and most of them don't even have this much by far, how good would you be then? Could you outdo them then? You can just use this to train with. If you're a person, it's a different thing. So we just wanted to give you information that might benefit you greatly about all three phases of developing the human body, taking your game to the next level, and saying, I want to be that good. When you really want to be that good, you do the next step, and then you get that good. So tomorrow we're going to get into some seriously breaking it down on how to actually focus on the generalship of managing all of these different components. The people that you're going to need on the outside of this thing is going to be important to you. So if you have questions, be sure to drop it down in the comment boxes. If you're already currently making moves in the sport of boxing, but you need a little more juice behind you, what I'm going to tell you to do is to go here right after you get off of this feed and schedule a call, jabjuice.com, and put some fire behind your brand. That's all I got. Until next time, continue blessings. And all of my brothers in the School of Boxing, stay focused, stay locked, and I'll see you guys soon in the Winner Circle group. And welcome to all the new members of the Top Trainer U program. This is going to be one hell of a ride, and it's okay to be that damn good. It's all about so that people can see you in your brightest light and you can reach the highest level of boxing. So long.